Hi, everyone. So I felt really called today to record a brief guided meditation for you to work with in this time. There is so much stress right now, and there's so much activity in the field. Today is the full moon. Happy full moon. It's a full moon in Libra, which is a beautiful time to reflect and to think about how you connect with others. Libra is the sign of connection. That's what Libra does. Libra's gift in the world is that they're very charming and they know how to connect people and create equilibrium. That is the gift that Libra gives us. Libras, you are always there to create that balance, and we are so, so grateful for you. I'm Libra rising, and so that's part of my work in the world is to create external equilibrium. It's very funny because your rising sign is your mask. Your rising sign is how you show up to the world, and it's how people know you when they don't know you. Does that make sense? Your rising sign is what people would think you were if they didn't know you. What they would think is your natal sign, your sun sign, if they didn't know you. And so your rising sign is how you first come across in the world, and mine is Libra. Libra rising, we like to create aesthetic beauty in the world. We like to create an external world that is beautiful and that is fluid, where there's open and easy communication. And so that's what we try to do, and that's what the gift of Libra in general, and that's how it operates for me personally in my natal chart. So if you have any planets in Libra, those planets are going to create space for you to open better lines of communication and to create beauty and fluidity in the world, because Libra is always trying to balance those scales between yes and no, between action and reflection. And so Libra sits in this place, and Libra is very comfortable there. It's a fun placement for the moon because the moon is a water planet, and so it wants to create that fluidity anyway. And so when Libra shows up to support it and to echo and to mirror and expand, to really create that space, Libra is the perfect platform for all of that. So anyway, if you're a Libra, today is going to be a good day for you. But beyond that, beyond today's specific message about having a full moon in Libra, there's a lot of tension and anxiety in the world. And one of the things I want to remind you is in every moment you have a choice about where you put your attention. Because whatever you give attention to expands in your life. If you give attention to your health and your happiness and your family and your relationship and your marriage, or your partnership, if you focus your attention there, that is going to grow and expand and heal. If you don't put your attention there, then you have to think about where are you putting your attention. And so in every moment, that's an exercise in mindfulness. Where am I putting my attention in this moment? Tonight's full moon with Sage Goddess, we're focusing on the Mayan pantheon with the god and goddess of creation. So tonight's ritual is going to be very powerful. I hope you'll be able to join me at 6 p.m. and I'll put the link above this video so that you have a way to access that ritual. We do a beautiful full moon ritual every month, and this month we're really focusing on creation. But part of creation is getting out of your own way. When you are anxious and nervous, when you aren't sure about your footing in the world, you have to find a way to anchor and ground and reconnect. And I think that's the work that so many of us are doing. And so I want to give you a moment to not only to do it with me right now, but I want you to learn how do you do this, because there's going to be many times in your life when you get thrown off course, whether it's global events happening that are creating a sense of anxiety or local events happening to you in your life, your relationship, what's happening in your world. There's always going to be something that can throw you off course. And part of developing a spiritual practice, part of living a spiritual lifestyle, which is what I encourage you to do. When we are happiest, it's because there's alignment across all parts of our life. If our spiritual life is separate from our personal life, is separate from our professional life, that means we have to do something called flex. That means when we want to focus on our spirituality, but we can't because our work life conflicts with it, we have to flex and change and perhaps move into structures that aren't natural and easy for us. And so we end up living outside of our authenticity. And part of what I want to encourage you to do is, and it's what I've done in my own life, is figure out how can you live into your authentic practice every day. So it's not like there's one part of you that's a spiritual person and there's another part of you that's the professional person, another part of you that shows up to your marriage or to your partnership or to your relationship with your children and the relationship with your parents or family. You want that alignment so in all parts of your life, you are the same person. And that's not easy to do. I'm not pretending that it's an easy process to do, but I do think that there are steps that you can take. So the first step, and the thing you need to do every day when you are stressed, is smudge. So I'm going to start right there. I want to encourage you just to close your eyes, take a nice deep cleansing breath. Sounds so simple. And yet it's the most profound thing you can do in your day is stop and breathe and just burn a little white sage because it's the business. As I send this beautiful offering to you today, and I'm smudging you right now, so just close your eyes. I'm going to pass this smoke over you. Take a little for myself. You know, in my groups right now, we're talking about a lot about daily practices, daily spirituality, things that you do every day to reconnect to the divine. I smudge every day. I meditate every day. I work with crystals every day. There are certain things that you should do every day. And that's the reason why I do what I do and have a shop with tools, because the tools are very important. The tools aren't the magic. The tools support your magic, but the tools are important. If you don't smudge and clear, you end up with some stuck and stagnant energy that isn't going to serve you. We try to make smudging beautiful with gorgeous smudge bundles here at Sage Goddess, but however you smudge, you need to smudge every day. This is white sage that I just smudged with. Let me show you Palo Santo. Palo Santo is a very sacred wood from Peru. It's a really funny story. So when I first started working with the family who supplies our Palo Santo directly from Peru, I talked to the man there who is the primary person who grows the trees and harvests the wood. And he said, it's really funny to me because in the West, people get all excited about Palo Santo, but, we've been using it in the jungle forever. This is what our grandmothers used when we were little. They used to put Palo Santo sticks in the shower and turn on the shower really hot. And when you do that, it releases the oil from the wood. So if someone was sick in Peru, sometimes they would cut a hole in the piece of Palo Santo and wear it in the shower. And then the oils just release as soon as the hot water, heats the space enough where the oils are released from the wood, and then you have that beautiful scent, and it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, antiviral, and so it's this very healing wood. But they've known about it forever. Sometimes in the West, we're catching up. There's so much medicine and magic in the Amazon and other parts of the world, which is what we're going to talk about tonight with the Mayan civilization too. That we have to really learn to develop and cultivate in the West a respect for non-traditional medicines, really, and sacraments and beautiful sacred plants that come out of the jungles and the rainforest, because that's where a lot of our healing will come from if we can learn to honor and respect those other traditions and other cultures. Next step after you smudge is you have to clear the stuck energy, and I like to use other sacred tools for that. You can use a plain sort of selenite stick. This is my more kind of fancy tool, but this works just as well. So you take your selenite wand, and what you do is you sweep the energy field, sweeping all of that energy off, anything that is stuck. Selenite clears, it brings joy, and it brings peace. And as you and a lot of, magic is visualization. So just imagining any energy that isn't serving you, just being sort of wiped off, pushed off of your energy field. And always remember to do the back. Because energy is not just in front of you, energy is behind you, it's around you, it surrounds you all the time. Your energy field, depending on who you read and who you believe, extends beyond your physical body, anywhere from about 6 inches beyond your physical body out to about 2 to 4 feet above and below you, which includes your entire auric field, all of your chakras or energy centers, as well as the prana or the chi, the energy that's flowing through you. You need to protect that space. That is sacred space for you. That 6 to 18, 24 inches outside of your physical body is a very important space. You need to monitor. That's why we smudge. That's why we move and clear energy off with selenite. Clearing that energy field all the way around you, behind you, in front of you, moving that around and then sealing that off. And the next thing you can do working with crystals, in particular, almandine garnet. If you are stressed and anxious, is going to bring you into present time. I always work with them in pairs. We don't always have this at sagegoddess.com, but when we do have them, I recommend that you buy a pair. And just hold these, let them anchor you. They're going to activate and open the root chakra, which is so important for us as empaths because we've learned how to open the upper chakras, haven't we? We're all good with the crown. We're all good with the third eye. But what we really need to practice and hone are skills around grounding ourselves and connecting ourselves to Gaia, to Pachamama, to Mother Earth, because that's where our grounding and protection really comes from. And a lot of times what you see are people, empaths in particular, who are quite overweight. And part of the explanation for that is they're not grounded in their physical body. And so any energy that's coming through sticks. It sticks in their auric field, and then it actually becomes a physical layer of flesh This is a true story. So if you're an empath who is holding too much of other people's stuff and you're gaining weight as a result, one of the things you need to do is start working with garnet, grounding yourself, smudging, and then when any energy comes to you, you have to imagine it just passing through you like smoke. Just passing through you like smoke. If you hold it, it'll start showing up in your body as extra weight, as disease, nothing that you want. So clearing, sending through, not letting nothing stick. On me, nothing sticks. But nothing's meant to stick. 99% of people's experiences have nothing to do with you. So don't hold it. Let that energy move right through you. 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with you. And that's a really important lesson for empaths to learn. Now, in a simpler way, big chunks of rose quartz, which we have gorgeous ones at Sage Goddess all the time, that's a beautiful medicine to work with. Just sit, close your eyes. You can hold it directly over your heart chakra and just call all that loving energy in of rose quartz. And again, so here's a good moment just to close your eyes. Today, Great Spirit, we call upon the energy of this beautiful rose quartz to bring love and peace into our lives, to activate and open the heart chakra so that when we are in a place of anxiety or fear, we remember that truly the only real emotion there is in the universe for us to work with is love. If it's love, it's true. Love is truth. And so when you know something to be true, when you experience truth, 99% of the time you're experiencing love. Because that's the one thing our soul knows is true. And it transcends. Doesn't matter what country you live in, what language you speak, what religion you practice. If it's love, it's true. So remember that. Aquamarine is another great stone to work with for cooling, for bringing in a cooling of energy. I'm a double fire sign, so this is really important for me. This is part of my medicine. When I say my medicine, these are the stones I need to work with, and you need to figure out what your medicine is. If you run hot, I run hot because I'm double fire sign. I need to be cooled because I don't have much water in my chart. And so I like to work with aquamarine and just call in all the beautiful cooling water energies of aquamarine, connecting me with my deepest emotions, helping me live into an emotional authenticity in my relationships, helping me to feel safe and peaceful, connected to water, which is about flow, surrendering to water anything that I'm not able to carry. Amen. Oh, so it is. And then on the opposite side, if you need to go from cooling to warming energies, and we in my classes I teach a lot about Ayurveda. I'm going to be teaching more and more about it later this year. And so if you're kind of loving this video and you're like, gosh, I want to learn more, if you go to sagegoddess.com/register, you can actually join my online classes. They're very affordable. They're just $20 a month each class. And we talk about all of these things. And so if you want to learn more about how to work with your crystals, daily practices you can incorporate, come and join us. We'd love to have you in our classes. We have our own private Facebook groups, and we meet a few times a month, usually 2 times a month per class for live sessions, and there's a lot of Q&A. So I think you'd enjoy it if you haven't joined us already. This is Ruby, and if you're needing to warm up, we talked about cooling down, connecting with your emotions. If you need to warm up and connect with your passion, maybe you've lost your sex drive. As an example, Ruby is a really good stone to get you back in touch with that life force energy. It's so important. Did you know that your life force, beyond just bringing you life and vitality, your life force is really what brings creation into your life. It's what supports you in manifestation. You need passion and life force energy and connection. And if you're feeling like you're just going through the motions of your life and you don't have that passion anymore, Ruby is a really good stone to reconnect you with all of that. So consider working with Ruby. Okay, and then in terms of your essential oils, one of the things you want to do is anoint daily with a beautiful blend that inspires you. And there are almost 400 different perfumes at sagegoddess.com that you can use to anoint with, all different magical blends. But what I recommend that you do anytime you anoint is you want to take just a drop of your beautiful perfume. You want to touch at your third eye for what I know, what you know, a touch at your wrist for what you do, what you make, and then a touch at your ankles for where you're going. Those are the 3 places you should anoint with your essential oils. Those are also places that have highly concentrated scent glands, and so that's going to make your perfume last longer, which is one of the main questions I get asked. How do I make those beautiful perfumes last? Because we don't use fixatives at Sage Goddess, so they're natural perfumes. They don't have an artificial fixative to stabilize the scent. A lot of them do last very long, though, because they're made with resins, as an example, myrrh or frankincense, and that tends to be a natural fixative that binds the scent to your skin. But always anointing at third eye, wrists, and your ankles for what I know, what I do, where I go. I just want you to close your eyes, call your energy into present time. Calling upon all of our guides, our higher self today. You have to think of your reality this way. There are always two forces competing for your attention. See if this resonates with you. One is your higher self. And think of your higher self as your best, most evolved and developed sense of self. It's you with all the knowledge. It's you with all the wisdom. It's you without the fear. Can you imagine you with all the knowledge and none of the fear? What would be possible for you in your life? I mean, today at the full moon, I really want you to think about that, because that, just thinking alone about what you could do if you didn't have fear and you had a complete trust in the universe that it's supporting you at all times. What's possible for you? Pretty crazy question. So, but I really want you to think about that. So there are two forces competing for your attention. One is your higher self over here going, you're capable of more. You have soul gifts to share in the world. You have knowledge that people need. You need to open yourself, let go of the fear, and trust that you are on a path that is guided divinely at all times. That's higher self, okay? Does that voice sound familiar? Sometimes I stand in as the higher self. Have you noticed? I try to be a constant sort of like proxy for your inner monologue to tell you that it's all possible if you believe. That's over here. Guess what's on the other side of that spectrum? What we call the inner critic. Higher self, inner critic. Higher self wants you to expand and get big, because you didn't come into this life to be really small and do nothing. Okay? So higher self's over here going, you need to expand, and you need to think about how you can create what you're trying to create in the world, and you need to not be afraid, and you need to not care what people think. People's opinions of you are their property. They don't belong to you. You can choose to listen, but 99%, I always say 99%, but 99% of the people who have opinions about you don't even know you. It's true. They don't even know you. What can they offer? So think about that. So your higher self is over here going, let go of people's opinions, let go of fear, let go of anxiety, and just trust that the universe is supporting you at all times. Inner critic, on the other hand, inner critic wants you to play small. Inner critic says, you know what? There's lots of people who know what you know. There's lots of people who do what you do. Why you? Maybe you should do it later. Maybe you should wait. Maybe we should wait till the kids are older. Maybe you should wait until you've learned a little bit more. Maybe you should wait. Does that voice sound familiar? Who are you going to listen to? And I ask you this because at the end of the day, life is short. If you spend your whole life listening to that inner critic, at the end of life, and I have a lot of experience working with clients all along this life force continuum, right? At the end of life, if all you do is listen to that inner critic, A, you're not going to have accomplished very much. B, you're going to look and say, you know what? All those things I was afraid of probably wouldn't even have happened. Why did I listen? Why did I spend my whole life afraid? And it could be the inner critic can actually be a proxy for your family. The inner critic can be a proxy for just shitty people in your life. The inner critic can be a proxy for a lot of different things. Sometimes the inner critic actually has something to tell you. Sometimes you need to listen and just say, okay, well, if I integrated that feedback, what would that look like? I'm not saying never to adjust or change or flex, but I am saying that 99% of the time, other people's stuff has nothing to do with you. 99% of the time, your inner critic really just wants you to play small and stay safe. And that's not how growth happens. And so what I want, my goal for you really, and my goal with Sage God is at the end of the day, I want you to live your life and get excited about it. I want you to wake up every day and go, what's possible today? And if that doesn't sound good to you, then maybe this isn't your time. But if it does sound good to you, I want to invite you to just put a little bit of a muzzle on that inner critic for a minute and really let your higher self speak to you, because your higher self knows. Your higher self knows why you're here. Your higher self knows how to manifest the things that you were meant to create in this life. So close your eyes for just a moment, roll your shoulders back, get a nice posture, sit up nice and straight. When you sit up nice and straight, energy flows more clearly through your chakras. You breathe more easily. You can really expand that diaphragm and get a nice deep cleansing breath going. So really relax, roll your shoulders back. And I want you to take just a moment. Invite your higher self. Give your higher self a microphone. Just for a minute. And say, higher self, I want to listen to you. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear what it is that you have to tell me today. I want to hear why I shouldn't live in fear anymore. I want to hear why I shouldn't give a shit what people say anymore. I want to hear why I should be brave. I want to hear why I should be strong. I want to hear why I am the right person to do this, and why now is my time. I want to listen to you, higher self, just for a moment. And if inner critic starts, just go, you know what? I'll be with you in a minute. I'm listening to my higher self right now. And just close your eyes. Higher self. Calling upon the higher self of every person who's watching now or will watch later. Speak to us today about our potential, about possibility. At the full moon, we celebrate possibility. The full moon is nothing else, truly, but manifest potential. The full moon is that glorious planet looking at you and saying, I'm not hiding. I'm not shy. Why are you hiding? Why are you shy? Let your higher self speak to you. Let your higher self inspire you. There's nothing wrong with being inspired. There's nothing wrong with listening and trusting. That inner voice has been guiding you since you were a little girl or since you were a little boy. It's been guiding you that whole time, and it will not steer you wrong. It will not lead you astray. Your higher self is the part of yourself that you can trust more than any other part. It's the oldest part of you, and it's the part of you that isn't shackled by a lot of these struggles that are so much a part of our human experience and so important, but also require us to transcend them in order to evolve and develop into a new level of spiritual connection, which is why you're here. You're here to learn. You're here to get closer to God, however you think of God, your creator, the one who brought you to being, the one who holds the essence of the universe. However you think of that energy, you're here to get closer to that. Your higher self wants to show you all the beauty that's possible for you. Isn't it magnificent? It's so magnificent. And if I can just be a mirror for you, even just with this video, if I can just be a mirror for you for a couple minutes to show you how beautiful you are. And then when you're done listening to that higher self, if you want to give a microphone to your inner critic, you can. It's up to you. Your inner critic has a microphone anyway, though. Most of us, the reality is none of us really needs critics. Our inner critics are so strong and so vocal and so crappy. We don't really need external critics. I know that's the case for me. It might be the case for you too. I mean, I have enough criticism coming from inside. I don't need anybody to support it on the outside. Who will you listen to? These are two forces trying to get your attention at all times. Now, I will tell you, the best path is the stance, where you let the inner critic teach you a little bit, and then you let the higher self calm you and reassure you and guide you. If you're going to give one of these voices a compass to direct your life, please let me encourage you to make it the higher self. Let the higher self be the compass. Right now, for a lot of you, the inner critic is the compass. That is not how it's meant to be. Flip that around. Higher self is the compass. And then where do you go from there? So if you only hear one thing from me today, it's that your higher self has wisdom for you. So does your inner critic, but your higher self is the voice that should be louder in your head. And may that voice always win for you. And you may have to get up and remind yourself every day, you know what, today the higher self wins. You know what, today the higher self wins. You know what, today the higher self wins, until it's a habit for you. And then you won't have to do it anymore. And let me tell you something. People who charge for coaching, this is what they're charging for. The last 10 minutes of everything I've been telling you is pretty much what you will get out of almost any coaching program. Because what a coach is going to do is hold a mirror up to you and say, this is what's possible. Now step into it. Let go of the fear. As the siren goes by. Let go of the fear. When you let go of the fear, anything is possible. I speak to you about that from a place of experience. And sometimes the universe will give you gifts, will give you opportunities to let go of fear. It'll show you that fear is a construct. It's a choice that you make. If you're afraid, it's a choice that you're making. Make a different choice. It's that simple. It's that simple. Aho. So today, at the full moon, under Libra, which gives us beauty and balance. It gives us a connection, a way to communicate with each other. As we think about communication under this full moon, I really want you to realize that at the end of the day, your higher self is waiting. Give it a microphone. It will speak to you. It will teach you. And everything else from there will unfold in perfect time. I believe that with all my heart. Don't ever think it's more complicated than it is, but don't ever think it's simpler than it is either. That's the secret to all magic. It is both extremely simple at the end of the day, and as complex as you can imagine, because our universe is complex and beautiful. But there's an order, a symmetry, an intelligence, and a balance that you don't have to work for. It's already there. All you have to do is claim it and receive it. It's really true. Okay, higher self, any last messages for us before we release each other today? And leave that space for dialogue open. Let the messages continue to come to you. They will. They will. If you're listening, they will speak. If you're listening, your higher self has much to share with you. It does all the time. So I hope to see you tonight for full moon. I can't wait. And if you're watching this after the full moon, you can always go back and watch the beautiful recording. If you want to work more with crystal healing and the tools, like I said, I would love to invite you to join me for the online classes. This is the last year most likely that I'm doing live teaching. And so it's kind of a special opportunity to really engage and ask questions and receive direction and communication live while we have our class meetings. So it's a fun opportunity. sagegoddess.com/register is where you'll find all the details. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful full moon phase. May all of your dreams come to fruition in perfect time and in a way that reminds you and inspires you to believe that magic is real. Amen. Aho. So it is. I'll see you soon.